Hello everyone, this is Zack here from the Joyland team, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Cornelian Cherry Tea. It's super easy to make, it's really good, and it's very cheap to make as well. Now, of course, before we get started, we want to make sure that, we have our hands washed and that all of our dishes are nice and clean and ready to go. And in our case, we're wearing the aprons too. Okay, now here's everything that you are going to need to make this. Now, you're going to need a pot, of course, with a lid. And while we're talking about the pot, we're also going to need something like this to rest it on the counter, because it's going to get very hot, so we don't want to mess up the counter at all. We're going to need a simple bowl like this. You can use whatever you like, but this glass one will work in my case. We're going to need a funnel, a glass container like this, and we're also going to need a big glass jug or anything really. Either way works, but this is what I have. And some kind of filter. We are going to need a soup ladle like this. And of course, you're going to need the Cornelian cherries themselves, and these are the packages that you buy from Joyland. We'll get to this in a second. And lastly, this is more optional than anything, but this is honey, just to kind of sweeten it up a little bit. You can use some sugar if you'd like, but I'm using honey because it's more of like a natural sweetener. So that is all these supplies that you are going to need to make this Cornelian Cherry Tea. So yeah, let's get started. Now guys, I should note that when you buy the Cornelian cherries from Joyland, it's going to come in a package like this. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to wash these. Now for this recipe right here, we're going to use half of the container. Now, if you have a bigger pot, you're going to want to use more than that. But in this case, this is like your average sized pot. It's kind of hard to visualize on camera, but it's like a regular sized one. So in this case, we're going to use half of this container. So that's what we're going to do. Okay guys, so to get started, like I said, we're going to use half of these cherries. Now, a little bit of a piece of advice here. I would recommend getting the cherries that are more like dark red, because they're going to taste better, and like you also kind of want to feel the texture of them a little bit. If they're a little bit like a little squishy, then they're going to be better than the other ones. Now, like I said, we need half the package, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, cool. That is the first step. Like I said, half the package. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is, of course, we want to wash these. So we're just going to fill this bowl up with a little bit of water and let them soak for a little bit. Like 5 minutes should be good enough to make sure that these things are nice and clean. While that's happening, this is a good time to fill this pot up with water. You're going to want to fill it up about halfway with water, or maybe a little bit more than that. That should be about right. Okay, that should be okay. As you can see, about halfway full. All right, let's bring this pot over to the oven. Let's put it right here, but don't turn the heat on yet. Just set the pot down. Okay, so now that these have been sitting in the water for about 5 minutes, we can drain them. It's pretty easy to do that. You can literally just use your hand and kind of hold the cherries in place while you pour the water out. There we go. Nice and easy. So the next step is to take these cherries, put them in the pot, and turn the heat on. All right, let's put these bad boys in. All right, and let's turn the heat on. There we go. Yeah, so just leave it here for a while. It should take like 10 to 15 minutes to fully like boil and cook. But for a small pan like this, it should only take like 10 minutes tops. So here's a slightly better view of it. As you can see, they're just kind of sitting in there right now. But of course, once it starts boiling, it's going to look really nice, and it's going to turn nice and red. and I'll let you know what it should look like when it's finished, and we'll be back in like 10 minutes or so. All right, so we are about 5-6 minutes in, and as you can see, we got a nice boil going. This is exactly what it should look like as it's cooking. Now, again, you want to occasionally check on it every couple of minutes, just to be sure, you know, don't leave it unattended, you know, just common sense kind of stuff. Okay, guys, now in terms of knowing when this is done, there's two things we want to look for. First of all is we want to smell it and see how it smells. Now, what you should notice is, yeah, it's not quite ready yet, but it should smell like, it's kind of hard to explain on camera, but it should, like, let's just say that it shouldn't just smell like water, right? You know, you should be able to kind of, it should smell like fruit a little bit. That's one of the indications that you know it's ready. Now, the second indication is the color. Now, we want it to be a nice, deep, dark red. That is how we know it's ready. It should be a color sort of like this. Easiest way to check it is to take, of course, take the lid off, and we can use our ladle to kind of check the color a little bit. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe a couple more minutes and it'll be good to go. Okay, guys, I think that's ready. So we're gonna turn off the stove first. What we're gonna do is we are actually going to take this and be very careful not to burn yourself here, and slowly transport it over to our little pot thing. Gently set it down, make sure you don't spill it. All right. Once you have this right here ready to go, we can move on to the next step. Okay, guys, so this next step can get a little bit messy. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to take our glass container with the filter on it. We need to put that right on top because we need to filter this stuff out. Now, I would recommend putting said glass container in the sink because it's very easy to spill a little bit. You can set it on top of a towel on your counter if you like, but I would recommend doing it in the sink because any excess that spills out is just gonna go like down the drain anyway, so it makes it a lot easier to clean up. So the strategy is to simply take some of it with the ladle like this and try to get the best view here for you guys and pour it into the filter like that. We're gonna do that again. Make sure you don't have too much because it could spill on your counter. Like that. And we're gonna keep doing this until there is none left in the pot. One thing I forgot to say is make sure that you have your bowl available so that any of these like excess fruits and stuff, you could just put them directly in the bowl right here so that they can be thrown out. Yeah, it looks something like this. Just like that. Okay, cool. So, now that we have all of the tea transferred into this little container right here, you're gonna wanna, you know, take this and set it aside for a minute. And then these, we're just gonna throw away. There's no use for them. In terms of the pot, we're just gonna put it over on the stove for now. Of course, not the same stovetop we used before, but we're just gonna put it aside so I can cool down. And you can put this aside as well. And so, we're gonna throw these away, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so one of the final things that we are gonna be doing is adding the sweetener. Now, like I said, I'm gonna be using honey, but you can use whatever you want. Like, you could just use like some regular sugar or something. But like I said, I'm gonna use honey. Now, in terms of how much to add, it's all up to preference. Now, I would recommend just doing it little by little, you know, just put a little in, mix it, taste it, and if it's not enough, you can add a little bit more, mix it in, taste it, and again, it's all up to preference. So that's what I'm gonna be doing here. So we're just going to mix it up for a little bit. All right, let's try it. That's good. All right, so once you have mixed up the perfect blend to your liking, we just need to add it to, you know, some glasses or container or something. I'm gonna pour it in this right here. So here's how you do this. Just put the glass down, put the funnel on top, and you wanna carefully pour this in. All right, put that aside. And here is your container of Cornelian Cherry Tea. Okay, there you have it. That is how you make Cornelian Cherry Tea. Again, you know, it's super easy to make. It doesn't take any time at all. It barely costs anything. And you can have as big or as small as a portion if you like. You could do like a small portion like I did, or you can get like a really big pot and make a whole bunch for like, you know, your friends and family, but keep in mind, you're probably going to need more fruit. All right, so thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and I will see you guys later.